What's up, YouTube world? We've got an incredible blue-collar boardroom, a multimillionaire at the age of 31. This guy has built 2,100 homes. He started with a tool belt, man. And if you're watching this is an example of the blue-collar American dream. The one thing about this, so many contractors, salespeople out there, you're making the money, but you got to make the money. You got to find a place to keep the money. Then you got to find a place to multiply it. Hopefully, inside of this podcast, doesn't matter what home service you're in. I don't care if you're in plumbing, electrical, HVAC, roofing, windows, doors. You could take the money you make and you can put it into the market. We're going to talk about new construction. I got my man Michael Newell here. I found him on Instagram, and dude, welcome to the Blue Collar Boardroom, brother.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it, man.
You invested in yourself recently. That's how you got here. What did you do?
Yeah, so I had like a really small following on Instagram, and my buddy put me into this Floyd Mayweather, whatever you want to call it,
giveaway. Meow, meow, meow. That's right.
Yeah, overnight. I mean, it literally like shot up overnight, man. It was
30,000 followers,
28,000. Yeah, crazy.
Sure enough, I'm checking. I get DMs on all these giveaways. Sometimes I've used these giveaways to grow my brand, grow my following on Instagram, and sometimes I check them because I want to see who's bought them because they're usually pretty cool people. And I looked at your profile picture and basically went in there and saw that you followed me, and I was like, hey, I hit you up on the message, and here we are. So it goes to show investing into growing your brand and going to an influencer like Floyd Mayweather, you never know where you're going to get. You wouldn't think that I was a guy, a bald-headed redneck roofer that would be in Floyd Mayweather's audience.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, look, if I got one thing out of it, I got this, right?
That's
like,
right,
wonderful,
man.
It's awesome.
Well, I love boxing, and I got to respect Floyd as a boxer. He is arguably the greatest of all time. So something about greatness, how did you get into, where does your story start?
So I can back you all the way up to 2009. I dropped out of college, got my real estate license. Yeah, I started selling houses, and I didn't like that. I was terrible at it, and I did that for close to 4 years, 3.5 years. And what piqued my interest in real estate was, the money you could make. And as a real estate agent, making, piddly change, especially 2009, 2010. I mean, that's like the worst time to be in real estate.
I just talked to a bunch of realtors. They were like all frustrated because Hurricane Ian delayed their earnings.
Oh, man.
But realtors, they're not really aggressive salespeople, are they?
No, that I would agree with that 100%.
What did real estate teach you about, or being a realtor, what did it teach you about sales?
I don't want to say that I learned too much as a real estate agent. I became pretty frustrated, and
that was kind of a trick question.
Yeah, I wanted to get the hell out of it. So if it taught me anything, it was how to exit being a realtor.
Nice. You wanted an easier way to multiply your profits, huh?
So I started working with some guys that were doing short sales, flipping short sales, and I was representing them on the buy and on the sell, and I started watching how much money they were making, and I saved up my commission dollars, and I did one. And I was hooked, man. I made some real money flipping short sales, and that was my aha moment in real estate. That was 13, end of 13.
Now for the layman, for the knucklehead redneck roofer, explain a short sale.
Okay, so a short sale is you purchased a home back in 2007 for $400,000. Fast forward to 2010, that same house is worth $200,000. So the borrower would essentially take a contract from me at $200,000. I, the buyer or the representative of the short sale purchaser, would go to the bank and say, "Hey, this house is only worth $200,000. Mr. and Mrs. Smith owe you $400,000, but I'm going to buy it from them from $200,000. Release them of the remaining balance on that loan." So basically, they'll just wipe out that other $200,000 that they would otherwise owe the bank.
Nice, dude. And so do you think this upcoming climate is going to be good for that in the future?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think there's just so much of a deficit of homes for sale and homes available. I just don't see I don't see the same climate that we had in 2007, 2008. It's
What's
completely different? The types of loans that we're giving out. So I'm a joint venture mortgage company. I have MJ Newell Mortgage, and I really pay attention to the types of loans that we're giving out to borrowers today. and we require a lot. I mean, it's the debt to income ratio.
Oh, it ain't no joke.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, we are
Before there was a free for all.
Yeah, it was completely unscrupulous. But today is not those days. It's completely different. It's a lot more solid, in my opinion. You're looking for a lot more of an astute borrower as opposed to just anybody off the street.
Boy, if you're going to be beating the people out of the real estate here, you got to beat the richest people in the world, don't you?
That's true.
I was the guy at Marzuko Real Estate. I mean, the biggest investors, hedge funds, they're all calling him. Hey, we got 20 million. Hey, we got 30 million. You let us know anybody that they're out. Sharks are out. You've been salivating at some of this flood work.
I've been seeing a lot of it, but I'm so engrossed in what I've got going on over.
What's your hustle?
New construction. Everything I do is new construction, and I do workforce housing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
I
specialize
like workforce
in that.
housing.
Yeah.
Like what kind of workforce?
So
Because I saw the project in LaBelle. What was that?
So
Kinda looked like a multifamily thing.
Yeah, duplexes. I
Okay.
cater to the guy on my sales, like the houses I sell to the American family. I cater to the guy that's making $60,000 to $80,000 joint income.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, mom and dad.
Dude, you're like in a, it's so funny. I heard this quote, and it said that, I think it was Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. I don't know if you've heard this before, but it's like, you can go broke building for rich people, or you can get rich building for poor people. Take your pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's true in some senses for sure. I agree.
You picked the right one.
Yeah, we're doing all right. We're not doing
How does
bad.
a man get by with 60 to 80 grand a year? I don't even know how it's possible.
They do it, and we can qualify them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tell them how it works.
So basically, if I'll take a rental perspective, because there's been a lot of controversy
Rent to
around
own?
this. No, rental, like renting to individuals as opposed to selling them a home. I prefer to sell somebody a home as opposed to renting them a home.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do have a lot of rentals in my portfolio, so I try to keep a very responsible tab there.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking at a family that wants to move into one of my homes, I make sure that the rental price per month is 1/3 of their total household income. And the reason why I do that is because if you start getting any higher than that, you start cutting into essential goods, right? What they can provide their kids as far as school supplies go, what they can do on the weekends. I mean, you start really cutting into the family network there, and that's not something that I'm okay with. So I try to take the responsible road and make sure these
70,
people can
60
afford it.
grand is like $5,000 a month, right?
Yeah, it's about
So
$5,500.
$1,500 a month.
Yep.
Nice. Well, you get-
1,800 bucks is kind of my sweet spot.
Well, that's still kind of. I mean, it's funny. Like inflation. Like in the old days, $1,800 a month was a nice place.
Yeah. Yeah, not today.
Not today.
Yeah, today 25, 28. I mean, if you're, Fort Myers anywhere, it's close to $3,000. I mean, it's half their income, if not more. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it is. And so you specialize, like LaBelle is a kind of internal town here in Central Florida. It's a pretty cool place, but you got a lot of places kind of like that.
Yeah. I do mostly Port Charlotte, Northport, Lehigh Acres, LaBelle, and a little bit of Collier County, like the farther side, like Immokalee area.
I went out to Sebring and looked at some of Lake Placid stuff. Is any of that stuff any good?
So I'm not there very much.
Mm-hmm.
We're dabbling a little bit into getting into like the Sun and Lake community. It's up there like Sebring
Yeah,
area.
it's a nice community. That's not like a 60 grander.
No, that's a little bit more, but yeah, Sebring's a pretty cool area.
It's cool. I thought it was like a value for some. I just got hit with a hailstorm, went there and did a bunch of work, and there's, I don't know. I just think, man, this place is like, you could almost get a cheap Airbnb out here. People might actually travel.
Yeah, very different demographic than what I'm used to dealing with.
Right.
A lot of retirees kind of go into that area. Different customer, different qualifications. So, not really my bread and butter. Like I said, I focus on that workforce family. That's my kind of
Nice.
niche. Yeah.
Nice. So how did you get started with building? Did you just take a loan on your first? Talk about maybe if you're a contractor, salesperson, you want to build your first home. Where do you get started?
So, I mean, I like to tell guys that they can get started with as little as 60 grand. Like you could take 60 grand, you could go build your first house. And I show people how to do that. I had a conference this past weekend And I literally laid out a roadmap of exactly how I run my construction company, how I run my sales, how I run my permitting, how I get capital, how I structure it. I gave out contracts. I mean, I literally showed everybody start to finish. If you want to build a single family house, this is how you do it.
And a blueprint to have success, because 2,100 built. How many rentals in the portfolio? How many homes are you building a year?
I got quite a few rentals in the portfolio.
Look, guys, if you're watching this right now, success leaves clues. And, the biggest reason why I connected with him is because, there's a big opportunity. I believe, we're going to see a lot of changes, maybe not as many dips down here in the Florida market, but there's a lot of markets, like got friends, Denver, Colorado, and even in places like Texas where people have been pushing the market up like crazy. What do you think about the housing market over the next 6 months?
I think it's going to be fairly consistent. I think if we looked further out, I think if we looked like 12 months out, maybe 9 to 12 months out, I think you're going to see interest rates pull back. Mm-hmm. I think that we will get back down to the sixes third, fourth quarter next year. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that. So I think consistency is going to be the key here. I see a lot of the big players. They're still buying land. I know this for a fact because I'm developing a lot of big tracts and I'm selling off lots to these individuals or these companies.
D.R. Hortons and
the national players.
Mm-hmm.
And if they knew something we didn't, I'm sure they would be pulling back at the moment. Mm-hmm. And that's not how I gauge this by any stretch of the imagination. Like, that's not my barometer. The way I look at things is always through the lens of data. Mm-hmm. So. And if you look at the different studies, if you just simply Google searched how many homes are we in a deficit across the country, you're gonna get a lot of different answers. But the general consensus is there is a significant amount of homes missing from the marketplace, and we've got to fill that gap. And that's kind of like where I come in. I've done really well with what I do, and I've started giving back. I think that I've positioned myself very well to, be able to do so. I've created a company and grown it substantially and scaled it, effectively.
Bro, I've seen somebody kill my neighborhood, and I've been so jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Talk about a roofing contractor. Anyone watching this, you know what irks ourselves? Like when we go and see another roofer on a big ass job, we're like, that should be me.
Sure.
Right. So sure. I got this guy in my neighborhood, dude, and so. House I live in Naples, it's on the water. The lots, they used to be worth $1 million. Now they're top of the market, selling it like average house $4 million, and most of them they're selling a lot of material. So I have a comp on my streets 3.7, and it's the guy building the house is building a $7 million house, and my house I bought for $1.4 million. But I've seen this guy in my neighborhood just dominate. He's probably built 20 homes, and he's kind of just found everybody that was ready to get out of the neighborhood, and he's done it with a group of investors inside the neighborhood. He just talked to a few of his rich friends inside the neighborhood, and they are on every deal, and they've made some big money. Now, he probably has 30% of his houses on spec, and the rest of them are custom home built. So I don't know how much he makes on them custom homes, but his name's all over the neighborhood, and he's probably put his hands on like hundreds of millions of dollars in construction. I don't know how much profit, but maybe 20 million, a lot. And I just sit there and watch him do it. And so I'm like, I want a piece of that action. And so what I'm looking to be is, might be catching if it's wrong, could be the wrong time, whatever. But I want to find a way. And maybe it's because I'm greedy and I see these guys that made these $2 million turnarounds on these huge deals. I want to see if is there still room to do that. As building material costs come down reasonably enough, is that a risky move, you think, investing into a spec house the cool thing about my neighborhood is I'd probably just live in the house and sell it at the end. But, I don't need a big house, so.
I mean, look, if you're building for your house, it's for yourself. You're building for yourself, right?
Right.
So you're building or you're selling.
Right.
You got to make that determination.
No, I want to do a bunch of them though. To be honest with you, I want to take the money from the hurricane, and I want to buy out my neighbors that are flooded, and I want to.
Well, I think that in and of itself is a massive opportunity. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, a lot of people got crushed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these houses got decimated. And it's going to need guys like you to put them back together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I was in your neighborhood, I would want somebody like you to come along and take that house that was completely destroyed and make it something beautiful again. Why? Because it makes my house appreciate. So I think that if your plan is to go into your community and maybe take some of these houses and tear them down and build up, I think that there's substantial margin in that. And I think that there is absolutely a buyer for that. I mean, there's tons of people moving to Florida that have big dollars that, are
cash.
Yeah, they're 100%.
It's not even, it's all cash.
Correct, yeah. I speak to a lot of different, agents because I have MJ Newell Realty as well, and I have agents in my office that deal with those types of clients and homes. Yeah, there's a lot of people come down here that would want something like that.
Yeah.
100% opportunity.
So it's funny because, all the houses that got flooded are on the water. And so a lot of the biggest opportunities now are in these neighborhoods that are the most expensive to get into. Fort Myers, here on the beach, lots of opportunity.
So that's one avenue. The other avenue is the avenue that I always kind of, position my guys into, and that's workforce housing.
Okay.
Because those are the guys that, that are getting crushed the most.
Yeah,
there's nothing available for them to purchase.
No, there's not.
I mean, you probably can think of 5 or 6 people off the top of your head.
They don't want to live in
can't get a
apartments.
house.
It's hard. They want a house.
Yeah, they want a house. They want their own house. They don't want to pay somebody else's mortgage. They want their own house that they can raise their family in, that they can invest in. Right? I mean, it's not just for us to make money. This is for America. This is for people to have the ability to invest in their home and potentially use that as their biggest asset for retirement. I mean, at the end of the day, if you take away the 30-year mortgage, I mean, you're taking away a lot more than just
you're
housing.
not the only one that sees value in the workforce. Mr. Warren Buffett be buying up these cheap houses like crazy, man.
Very true.
Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Why are they out there buying up houses for $250,000?
He's pretty smart, isn't he?
Yeah. Whole tracks of them, man.
Yeah.
And so,
but that's wonderful, right? That's great that he leases them out to the American public. But more importantly, I think the American family should have the ability to purchase their own home.
Absolutely, see the value increase.
100%.
That's the American dream. That conference, Blue Collar American Dream Conference.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The American dreams around a home. Then you got guys like Grant Cardone who say, buying a home is bad. What do you have to say to people on the internet who say that buying your own home is not smart?
I think those individuals are on a whole nother level. They're extremely transient, right? And they just, they live a very footloose lifestyle. That's what I would say about that. I own my homes, right? Like, I want a solid place to raise my family. I want to know that no one can take that home away from me, right? That's my house. And, that's it. I don't want to rent something. I don't want to be, a transient running around. That's not my thing. So I would argue that that's probably not the best advice that you could get off the internet.
Nice. Love that. What are some other unpopular opinions about home ownership or building and construction?
So I think there's a lot of muddy water around construction. Like I felt like this last event I did, I really pulled the veil back for people. And I mean, if you think about it, we all live in a house, but we really don't know how it's built and how it functions. And just, is a simple illustration of how a septic system works. Like, people were like, wow, I had no idea. You use it every day, but you had no idea how it works. So I think that there's a lot of education.
Fascination with the dirty jobs.
Right, yeah. There's so much education.
Thank you, Mike Rowe. Appreciate you, bud.
Lots of education that needs to happen around construction, and innovation needs to happen around construction. I think that we've been building the same way for centuries, and there's some innovation that needs to happen in the construction world, 100%.
Like what?
I think the way we build is a little antiquated. I mean,
Florida's pretty advanced with their requirements. These guys
with
don't
the
play.
requirements, but how we do it, I was looking at a cast in place model where you would set up these aluminum forms and cast your mold in place with a concrete roof and concrete walls and obviously a concrete monolithic slab. The way
Like a
the
3D home.
Yeah, and the way the home, the roof system would be held up would be a
I was having a
post
machine
tension.
build that.
It's an amazing, concept. It's not cost effective yet because not a lot of people are doing it. But if we had
Oh, it's the future.
if we had mass production of these forms, it would be a lot cheaper. If we had a lot more, people doing it, there'd be a lot more labor force that would be, in tune with how to do it.
So you have a dream to make affordable housing for Americans real.
And innovate at the same time. I mean, the insulation we use is garbage. Why do we use, this fiberglass crap? You ever walk in your house and it smells terrible? You smell this insulation. Like, why are we still using that? Yeah, we can use the spray foam now, which is great, but that stuff's expensive. Like, we need to innovate to make this more affordable. And
You have to check out this YouTube. So I had this guy named Carlos, and he approached me a few years ago, and he has a factory, and he builds this product. And you ever go to Vegas and you see the fountains? Basically they're made out of stucco, like a hard epoxy, and on the inside of it's basically a EPS board. And so with concrete and stucco and paint on the exterior and EPS in the middle, he built a lightweight tile that has an R value that's similar to like an insulation board on a commercial product. And so they cut basically energy efficiencies on homes with this tile. And he's also got sort of a product that goes underneath residential shingles, and they got it approved for basically energy and the Inflation Reduction Act giving 30% tax credit back on it. And this guy is a blue collar. His whole family's had to put into a factory and work and build all this stuff. But it's like things like that have never really been put out there because funny thing is there's a lot of big companies that profit from the way things are done the old way.
yeah,
That's why things don't change. Why else do you think things don't change?
I just think lack of education, honestly. Really, Lee. Like if that's one thing I could say is just people just don't know. They're just not educated around it, and that's again. I keep harping on this. That's really what I'm trying to get out there is. You can step into my shoes and you can build homes. Why do I say that? Because, I did it myself. I'm not a general contractor. I'm not an engineer.
Let's walk through the roadmap of building wealth because I think everyone's excited about becoming a blue-collar millionaire. Not just someone that makes the money, but has millions and millions of net worth that multiplies, that works for you. So talk about a little bit of your growth and your reinvestment. And has there been any times where you had a lot of success, but then you hit a huge brick wall and went backwards?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, one of my first brick wall was the real estate agent, right?
After the real estate agent, you built your first
Then
houses.
I got into short sales. Like my whole life in the professional sense has been pivoting. So after real estate agent, I got into short sales, and that was wonderful, right? Like that was a pretty smooth transition.
When did you start building?
Let me walk you through the whole thing. So short sales, did great with it. That dried up. That was 15, and that was 14, 15. I had to pivot. Like I had nowhere else to go, so I got into distressed mortgages, buying distressed paper, and that dried up. I had to pivot again. So I pivoted it into what I thought was going to be building rentals for the Section 8 program, but ended up building houses. People wanted to buy them, purchase them, so I sold them. And I think if we're walking through, my journey towards wealth and compounding, effect, it was I made some decent money in short sales, but then I invested it all into, the distressed mortgages. I made some decent money in the distressed mortgages, but, that came to an end and I had nowhere else to plug that money. So what I did is I had all this, I had this goodwill, this capital, and this know-how behind me. A lot of people made a lot of money with me. They had a lot of faith in me. I just had to find that next vehicle. So I pivoted into that new construction world. And fast forward to today, for every 5 homes that I build with other people's money, I take that cash and I put it into what I call a cash rental portfolio. And I build one house, cash, stick it back in a portfolio, and let it cash flow.
Any tips on building a network to grow other people's money or investors into your homes?
I can literally lay it out for you line by line at these little events that I put on, but I'll give you kind of like the snippet version. So if you were to take $60,000 from a JV investor and you purchase a lot, permits, and you have a little bit of money left over for your down payment. You take the rest from a lender. My favorite lender is DLP Capital out of St. Augustine. You pair that together, you build a single family home, you sell that asset, you pay back your construction lender, you pay back your joint venture investor plus whatever profit sharing split you came up with them, and you keep the rest.
Nice.
You can literally do this with $0 of your own money.
Nice. And like right now, like let's say I want to build 5 houses and I want to join your mastermind. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go balls to the wall. I got the project managers. I got the people. We're going to put these people in charge here. Where are we going?
I show people the one-man band way to do it.
Let's do it.
The one-man band, right? Like you're the purchasing department, you're the permitting department, you're the finance department, you're the superintendent, you are everything, right, when it comes to that single-family house. Mm-hmm. And I kind of lay out the schedules. I lay out the budgets. Obviously these budgets are for the areas that I'm working in, which is, mostly Southwest Florida, Southeast Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and we're getting into Texas, a little bit North Carolina too. But across the country, that the building world changes. You might build frame in one state, you might build concrete block in another, and I orchestrate through those transitions. But back to the point, you do it as a single person, right? Mm-hmm. You're a one-man band. You do it all on your own, and it all starts with money. Then it starts with land. Then you go from land into permitting. And as you walk through permitting, you wind up with that permit and you start building that single-family home, sell that single-family home, and you make your profit. I think the most frequently asked question that I get is, what if I'm not a general contractor? I'm not a general contractor either. So I was fortunate enough to convince somebody to sign on the dotted line for me and sign my permits, which is a very easy thing to do for a fee. And I became not only the general contractor, but the superintendent on the job with zero experience. I had no idea how to build a house, but you
got started.
I got started. I did it. And I made money on those first homes.
Hell yeah, man. And so how long ago was that?
That was beginning 2017.
Wow. And here we are.
Yeah.
2022, 5 years later. And win after win after win. Talk about the compound effect, because it's a book. Darren Hardy, you ever read it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, it talks about how basically day after day, when you win and you do the same thing, it's great when you do it for 6 days. It's great when you do it for a month. Then you do it for 6 months. Then you do it for a year. Then you do it for 2 years. Then you do it for 4 years. And I think a lot of people, they don't fall in love with the process. They don't go into that true mastery. I see that you kind of are a true master of your craft, but people don't really want to become true masters of their craft anymore. They just want to get the get rich quick, like Cliff Note version.
Sure. I think, actually, I know the reason why I was able to scale is because I knew every position. The only reason I was able to, bring in the right talent and
we'll talk about that a little bit, because you were talking a little bit about my guy's biggest challenge. They want to be a one-man band. They want to be able to do it all. It's this dream and reality.
You have to in the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like I said, you're all departments and the superintendent. And the reason why I think that's good and why that's powerful is because you learn what works and what does not work in every single position. Mm-hmm. And then when you go to hire for that position, you know how to measure the success. You know what the expectation is. You can train to perfection because you've walked through all the things not to do in that position. You know exactly what to, convey to this individual that you're plugging in. And that's why I was so successful in scaling, is because I literally was every department. At one point in time, I did it all.
Nice. Any tips in selling a house or getting the most for your house, or in how you present the house, or just like in getting the most value?
So we have an in-house sales team.
Oh, nice.
And I think that that's the most effective way to do this. Look, when you're the one-man band,
because
right?
You have the realty, you got the mortgage, you got it all.
We got title. Yep. Yeah, we wrap it up all the way around. But, when you're just getting started, if you have zero experience in the real estate world, you're going to build this house and you're going to use a real estate agent to sell it. I think the best thing to do when you're hiring this real estate agent to sell it is you walk them through that house and make sure they understand exactly what they're selling. Because, look, I was a real estate agent once, right? Mm-hmm. I would walk through a house and I would pick out the things that I thought was important, and I would highlight the things that I thought was important. it's much more effective when the homeowner starts telling me, well, this is what you should point out, and this is what you should sell, and this is why this is good.
Yeah, because it's a story. They've lived there. People buy stories. They buy the actual, like, well, they know nicks and crannies too.
Yeah, you as the builder need to come up with that story, right?
Yeah.
You need to walk that agent through that house and show them, like, this is why this product is worth what we're trying to sell it for.
Nice. Any like things come up in like construction, like holding your crews accountable? Ever had any problems with quality workmanship or firing people?
Come on, man.
This is what these guys deal with.
Yeah. I'm sure you're well versed in the things that I deal with, mate. So crews and subs not showing up on time, and the whole 9 yards, right? Like,
but it's pretty much managing subs. You got a group of subs.
You're going to deal with that.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with that. That's the construction world. But if you create, synergies and good relationships with these subcontractors, and you pay them on time, like you pay them on the button head, you pick up the phone and call them, they're going to answer.
I'm sure that's a lot of people's biggest objections. I don't know where to turn, and if you're not from my market, how are you going to help me find the people? And what would you say to those guys who don't have subs that want to build a job and they want you to help them?
I don't.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Like I don't sell that. I don't really have anything to sell other than here's how I did it. I literally lay it out to people and show them how to do it. I did it for free this weekend. I'm doing another one in February in Fort Myers. I am going to charge for that. It's $1,000 to walk in the door. But I mean, $1,000 to set yourself
Well,
up.
Look, you're doing it in the right place. There's a lot of contractors that I know that are going to be working the storm. I have at least 120 salespeople myself. Those guys are going to want to take their commissions and start building wealth. And me, I put my money in the multifamily. Grant had me all convinced. Multifamily. That's where all my money's gone.
Yeah.
We did good in Daytona. We bought a property below $100,000 a unit. We fixed it up. We put $1 million into it. We sold it over 200,000 units. It was over 100 units. It was a great deal. But we rolled that 1031 exchange into a Tallahassee property. But I don't have that much. All my stuff's tied up in a few moves, and you've made all these different moves and built all this goodwill and developed all these skills. And that's the thing, it's like I want to build a portfolio not just of stuff like in my neighborhood rich people houses, but I like this idea of building for the affordable housing and I'm building for the regular man. It really fits into my blue collar American dream. It gives me that would give me purpose.
Yeah.
Like what you're talking about, because not gonna lie, I got people offer to buy my company like crazy right now. Like,
Oh, I believe that.
And
I believe that.
And the idea that I could just put that money into real estate and keep it moving, like it's definitely. But the truth is I would put that money more into residential single family at this moment in time, looking at vacation rentals, looking at some different stuff. But, you say, forget that. You be your own mini version of D.R. Horton. There's a guy in Texas I bought my home from, First Texas Homes. They were a company that just built and scaled as a builder, one of the largest in Texas. They compete with the big boys, but they're just a family-owned business. But they build, I don't know how many thousands every year.
That's amazing. Look, that's exactly what I want to set people up to do, right? Like take that single house, you do it once, you get good at it, you can do it 1,000 times. You can do it 1,000 times per year.
Yeah, and what's funny about that house in Texas was before prices went up, it was about 3,800 square feet. I bought it for $340,000, and it's like Texas is cheap. Anyways, now that house sells for a lot more, 500, 600. But still, that's the blue collar American dream, or the American dream in general. Is hey, you get live in a house of your dreams, got everything, appreciates in value. Where are the places that you watch out for? What are the markets or states that you wouldn't build in?
That's hard for me to say because I haven't really evaluated all the states that I want to get into, right? But I can tell you the states that I am in, that I do heavily focus on.
Tell me why the states that are good for, what states are you in and why are they good?
So I put my money where my mouth is, okay? If I go into an area, I go and collect data first. So I'll go on Facebook and I'll drop Facebook ads. I'll go into Craigslist, Craigslist ads. I'll do Instagram ads. And I will evaluate the type of customer that responds to those ads. I'll put them through my mortgage company. I'll see what they qualify for. And based on that, that's how I, decide whether or not I'm going to go into that specific area. I literally look for 10 to 1. So
10 to 1 what?
10 to, if I get, 10 qualified, bona fide qualified leads, like people that can buy a house tomorrow, I'll build one house.
And what does the ad look like when you're fishing for those people? You're just like saying, "Are you interested in buying a home?"
Hundreds of leads come in. Hundreds of leads
all
come
you
in.
put out there, "Are you interested in buying a home?"
No, I put out what we will be building, what it will be priced at, and the approximate delivery date.
Oh, and that's how I see these all the time on Zillow. They just put them
It's
up.
ways.
All you do is put a picture of the future build, and leads come in.
It's a picture of the rendering of what the house will be like,
and then they just come in like crazy.
Correct.
And you don't have to really even pay. You pay Zillow for those, or
well, it's mostly Facebook ads. Like I try to target.
Zillow don't work if you just.
It works. It works, but
what about like Trulia?
Zillow, Realtor.com.
You use them all.
All these things work.
Yeah.
I use Facebook.
Really?
Facebook
Me
works.
too. That's my number
well.
one thing. You read my book, it's all about Facebook ads.
I like Facebook.
All I teach is how to use, because it's about, here's one thing maybe you can take a little bit of my blue collar marketing method, apply it. Go out there and create some educational content about maybe a house that fit that same model. It's already built. You give a tour of it live. This is a previous model of it. Then you have this retargeting. You can either retarget the people who are interested with the live model, which creates more sense of urgency, or you could create basically a retargeting ad on the people that have seen it already. What happens is you just get more qualified buyers. But, for me, a lot of times the engagement ad, when you pay Facebook to say, this is an engagement ad, get people to engage, it costs 1 cent to half a cent per view or per engagement.
Right.
Versus if you say, I'm trying to collect the lead here. Well, they'll charge you more because they know you're trying to extract.
Yeah, because you're making money on it. So
right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So it's a little bit of using both strategies to get more even bang for your buck.
Interesting.
But, sounds like you got it dialed in, dude. You're a genius on this. So, at this point, a lot of these guys watching this, they're like, oh, man, this guy's smart. He's doing all this stuff. Talk me a little about your company. Like, you got all these companies. How many people working for you? And, like, how do you keep it all separate? And how do you keep everybody in line? How many people are working for you?
So we have 71 today.
Wow, dude.
They're all what I would call high-level guys.
Mm-hmm.
I've got girls in finance, girls in permitting, girls in purchasing, superintendents. I have a lot of women working for me. I think that, I think that women are smarter than men.
Hey, I was about to say it, but when it comes to some of this stuff, I'll be honest with you, man. My wife's arguably better builder than me.
Yeah.
Straight up. She's rebuilding our home now.
Sweet. Yeah, they're highly organized.
Yeah.
They're more patient. They have a better way of communicating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's funny. They get a bad rap for being controlled by their emotions, but I'm the one sometimes that's the fly off the
handle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 71 total, and we sub out 95% of our work. The only work that we keep in house is a lot of our dirt work and grading, and then we have punch out guys that run around and just kind of tighten up the houses when they're finished.
And that's including all the little companies and it's the whole family of
so
companies.
I really only have 2 companies.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Standard Land Development,
Mm-hmm.
which is the contractor arm,
Mm-hmm.
builds the house, develops the land, and then I've got MJ Newell Homes, which is the sales company of the forward-facing brand.
shop.
Yep, they've got mortgage, they've got title, they've got
because you've done it so many times. Why let
sales.
someone else make money?
Yeah, it's all wrapped up into one. But notice I said joint venture, right? So on the joint venture structure, we don't do the heavy lifting. We just participate in the profit sharing. So our joint venture is with U.S. Mortgage of Florida for the mortgage.
Nice. So that's great. So you give them the deals. It helps you keep it all in house and have control. Plus, you make a little bit, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, we share in the expenses, right? Like that's part of the deal. But we do a profit sharing structure, and we participate in that as well. So it's wonderful.
Nice. Seems like a guy that has built a big strategic referral network. I'm sure a lot of opportunities come your way through referral, whether an investor comes through 100%.
Yep.
Any tips for people building one of these networks or tapping into one of these networks?
Sure. I think the biggest one is kind of the commonality among all human beings. If you say you're going to do something, execute.
Yeah.
And I've never lost $1 of investment money I've always done what I say I'm going to do, and that's built incredible credibility around what I'm doing, and that makes it easy for me.
Amen. That's it. Dang, man, that's a lot of content right there. Any what other big plans? What else is your mission? Walk like me through like what your goals are over the next 10 years.
So going forward, I'm gonna keep building single family homes. We're gonna do a lot of for sale product to sell it to the American family. We're gonna stay in the workforce space. That's our specialty. And I'm gonna probably kick off this learn to build thing pretty good. I'm gonna educate a lot of people on how to replicate what I'm doing. I'm gonna give it away to them and show them how to basically do what I do on a daily basis, and hopefully that solves the big affordability crisis that our country is faced with for the average American workforce family.
If you want my advice on how to execute, I did it a little backwards. Okay, I can give you a little advice. You said you wanted me to talk about this.
Yeah,
so
please.
I'll talk about it. You got a lot of really specific depth knowledge, like that took years to develop. Okay, that's special, and it's also specific. And one thing about it is for me, I started doing the training, and I realized that I had a framework, but I needed to put it into like a book. And getting it into a book that I gave away for free, plus shipping, that would give me a place where I could get a lot of people that the best person that I'm going to change their life and make them a blue-collar millionaire is someone who's read my book. Statistically speaking, if someone takes the time to do that, if someone will go through it, we have an audio book too. But generally speaking, you buy my program, if you won't read the book, you're probably not going to take it seriously enough to execute it. And so if you can sell a book, which I think there's so many people love to learn how to build. They love how to be, because so many people want to be their own builder, just to have the knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It seems like such a really wide topic, even though, not everybody wants to be a builder on the scale of your size. I think that everyone is interested in maybe learning a little bit of how to make a profit on all and building all your own homes. I mean, American family, probably how many times they move in their lives?
On average, I think it's like 4.5.
Okay, so if the American average man can learn how to build his own home, profit from it 4.5 different times, 5 different times, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So figuring out, man, how to get a book that not only applies to, this was my biggest mistake. I wrote a book specific to contractors instead of writing it to the American public. And my next book is going to be more about the blue collar American dream. It's more about the fight for the American dream, and maybe even have commentary and quotes from you inside of it.
You gonna let me speak at the blue collar American Dream Conference?
I'm telling you, dude.
Wonderful.
This is an opportunity of a lifetime, man. To be able to teach my guys how to build wealth one roof at a time, just the roof that you built. I mean, that to me is, you got all these other conferences. Oh, come give me money for real multifamily investment, and you can see this and see that. I think a lot of guys from my space want to put their hands on it.
Yeah.
They want to be involved in it.
I'm seeing a lot of that, man. A lot of guys are calling me saying I spent, X amount of dollars learning this, but there's nothing for me to do. Like mostly flippers.
Yeah.
They'll come to me and they'll be like, Mike, I spent $80,000 on education and I got nothing to do. What should I do? I'm like, you spent $80,000 and you're asking me what to do?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, what that tells you, after you've had that conversation, a lot of times, what I did was I got tired of basically listening to assholes. An asshole is someone that you ask but don't do and keeps asking. And the other thing is people that don't mind asking, knowing that you're going to give it to them for free. After a while, I'm busy with my own stuff. It got so much time sharing all my knowledge. I'm like, I got to get paid for this because I love talking about it, but the time that you invest, when someone pays, they pay much more attention. And if you're not going to get more deals or going to focus on your own, then that is time away from you. Should be compensated. And when you make it a lifelong effort and passion. Sometimes that allows you, as far as like getting paid for it, to zone in and focus on them 100%. Like when you charge $1,000 and deliver like all the goods, coming up with the framework and writing the roadmap out before you get there and delivering to them the roadmap in an infographic and have your presentation follow that thing and just deliver, boom, the full way to become a blue-collar millionaire and learn how to build. So,
Yep.
man, it's badass.
So, I mean, if I'm reading between the lines and understand exactly what you're saying, if they're willing to invest, whether that be, by effort reading the book and or monetarily, they will be more focused and more likely to execute.
Yes, and the more that you can basically sell your book for free and just get reimbursed for the advertising dollars, then not only do you get clients that vote with your credit card, because $7 for shipping is not too much for your book, okay? And that's how much free plus shipping is, $7. Shipping's covered, that goes to their house, all right? But they voted with their credit card. They like you enough to give you their credit card. So what that means is you can call them and they're potential clients. And our best leads are the potential clients that have read the book and then join the mastermind. And so what my skill set is teaching people how to make a quick, short, like mini, like what people really want now when they want to buy these things is they want you, like they've been through all the long form funnels. They don't want that. They've been through all the stupid hour-long webinars. They don't want that. They want you to tell them exactly what the heck you offer, exactly what it costs. They want you to give them stories and examples that demonstrate how much you can help them. And then joining these masterminds is something people love to do. It has become my passion. When I first started investing into them, buying into networking groups, buying into mastermind groups, meeting new people, it became my most favorite thing to spend money on, like a new passion and hobby. And so don't take that away from a man. Like, let him give you $30,000 to teach you to learn how to build. You're being nice, not charging $60,000. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
And you can train them over 2 days and support them. And you don't have to do more than just a 2-day training with a book, a roadmap, some videos, and the support. What I do is I support my guys through Zoom and group coaching. And you can scale your time too, and you can have freedom. And so it's about creating this straight to the point mini lesson that convinces people, look, they need to stop what they're doing and follow your path, that your path works, that your path will work for them, even if all they want to do is build 4 homes. But they still must know your information. Because if they don't know how to do what you know how to do, they're going to waste a lot of money in their life, and they may not build wealth. And so if you can show that to them and demonstrate the examples of people you help, show your examples, man, it's just how you present it. And then what happens is you get leads from Facebook. They either buy your book, they watch the presentation, and then you have a sales team, your own inside sales team, and they close $30,000 deals. And those are human beings that become lives changed. And every man that comes in, a lot of times we have to really kind of push them because they don't want to make the investment. But they thank me. They're like, man, I would have never done it. I'd have never took it seriously. I would have never made these changes. I would have never. And whenever people come back to you, like one guy, my best guy, he started with $2 million. He tells this story. He was so stuck in his job that basically appointment to appointment, no time, hated his life, burnt out. One day he went home for lunch. They wanted his kids to play with him, and he was ignoring them, and he backed out of his driveway and ran over his daughter.
Oh, my God.
Broke her leg.
Jesus.
And basically was a slave to his business. He only had 3 people doing $3 million a year. He was making money, probably $300,000 a year or more, but really miserable with his life. And he came to one of our events, and he did $7.8 million the next year, but got a team and started to really kind of model my systems. The next year grew his team. Dude's an amazing leader. $20 million in sales. This year he's done over $30 million in sales. Like literally could sell his business for $30 million. And this cat was a guy that when he bought my program, I didn't know if he was going to be successful. Like, because I'm the guy that sometimes, like, oh, that's going to be a good one. Oh, he's going to be a good one. He's going to be a good one. Then I'm like, oh, I'm not that guy. He's not going to be. And this guy, because he didn't look like me, he wasn't a door-to-door guy, wasn't an insurance guy, just didn't have all the things that I thought didn't matter. And you know what? He made me better. This dude made him executing my system made me better, made my system better. And so me teaching the system made the system better. Other people made the system better. And the thing took a life of its own. And to be honest with you, I learned from about 500 of the most successful roofing contractors and took a little bit of what I learned from each one of them.
Kind of tailored it to your own style, yeah.
Well, and I had a coach my whole life, and I did it my own way, and I knew which way that worked. But, best practices are best practices. If you're in the same industry and you have a best practice that can benefit me, put it in.
I can attest to coaching. I don't have a coach now, but it's all through my adolescent years and teenage years. I was in hockey, big time hockey player, and I had coaches, and I think that's what kept me out of a lot of trouble was always being on the hockey rink and always pushing for performance, right? Like kept me out of all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think you asked me what my future plans are. I think I need to be able to offer, the same thing that I was offered to these other, kids in Southwest Florida where I'm building a lot of houses at. The only reason I got into hockey in Florida is because a wonderful couple built a hockey rink across the street from my house. And I was able to step into that opportunity because of that.
Nice.
So
you like to fight in hockey?
Yeah, oh yeah, I love it.
We got a blue collar fight club, Do
you? No, I'm not fighting anymore.
No, I'm just kidding, but not really.
Yeah. So
seriously though, we had cage fights at the last event.
I'm gonna throw a hockey rink up. Actually, if individuals show up to my next event, all the proceeds after the event's paid for go towards the hockey rink.
Oh, that's sick, man. That's a great idea.
We're gonna
we did a Folds of Honor donation, but that is very close to your heart. It's awesome, man. It's a great idea. Dude, I'd love to help out. Fort Myers is close to home. Got a lot of people that would love to be there. I'd love to talk about how they could bring some extra revenue through insurance restoration. Talk to them a little bit about roofing and solar as an opportunity. Roofing's not the only thing. Solar's a big gold rush here in Florida, man. It's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And every roof I do is basically setting myself up to do a $50,000, $60,000 solar job. And, part of my value these companies offering me money. There's solar companies that just want all these roofs to sell solar to. And so, we have to talk a little bit more about that because, in California, solar is required on all new construction. And, of course, never will probably be required in Florida. But what are your thoughts on, solar's resale value on solar as a builder? Have you ever thought about putting it on any of your homes?
So we evaluated it pretty heavily. We were going to start offering it to homeowners in Florida. Mm-hmm. We never ended up doing it. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that it's could be a revenue stream and an additional revenue stream for us. So I'm open to definitely talking about that for sure.
Yes. Okay, so here's how it would work. So when you go to close, they're already getting the loans and taking care of the home, right? It's got a couple options here. Of course, you can either rent your power or own it, and FPL, just so you know, here's the deal. They're raising rates over the next 5 years. We know that. It's just if you're renting an apartment, that rent's going to go up. Well,
sure.
Same thing with FPL. It's right here. Where's the most where you build? Is it LCEC at all?
Yeah, there's some LCEC, a lot of FPL.
LCEC is a lot more expensive than FPL.
Yeah, they are very expensive.
They rip people off. It's very expensive. Okay, and I can save people freaking probably if they have LCEC on an affordable home, $100,000 over 20 years or more. Probably $150,000. And
wow.
for those people, when you show them that they can own their own power up front, what we do is we get them into a 25-year 1.99 interest loan. And if their average power bill, let's just take your average home. Let's say you build a really efficient home and it's a $200 power bill. Well, with the panels, you're not even going to need as many panels to power the home. So here's the thing. You have the option to charge whatever you want. I'm going to give it to you the wholesale price, and you can mark it up whatever you want. The reality is that should be up to the salesman. And I give you a wholesale price. You give them a certain price, and whatever they can sell it for that's reasonable, they do. Now, of course, you got a customer. You don't want to overcharge them, so you might want to set a maximum. But the bottom line is that on every solar deal, you would probably add $7,800 or $10,000 to every sell, and that would be
If it definitely adds value and it works and it saves these people money, I mean, I would absolutely like to offer that to these people.
because LCEC and FPL both do net metering where they buy back the power, and that means at night, all the extra power they create, LCEC or FPL puts power back into their home but doesn't charge them for it. And so because there's a one-to-one net metering, which is where basically there's an energy deficit in Florida. So many people moved here, electric cars, whatever reason. Like you said, there's too much demand,
Yep.
right?
Oh,
Even
yeah.
for power, for housing, for everything. So the energy company says, look, you can create power on your rooftop. We're going to buy it from you. We're going to buy it dollar for dollar for what you could create. And so you can save these people, and they will own their own power, and they won't. The biggest thing is this is where you save money. It's not the increases right now. It's the 25-year buildup. If it increases 6% a year for 5 years, what's that look like in 25 years? It looks like the same kind of compound interest slope of saving your money and it growing 6%. It looks like a ton of raised, like if your power bill is $200 now on your average house, in 20 years, it might be $800 a month. And so if they can lock in their payment right now at $150, well, in 20 years when their solar power is creating and all they're paying is $150 a month, well, they're saving $650 a month. They're not saving $50 a month.
That's wonderful.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So when you put that to them on a graph and you show them 1985, this is how much power was. 1995, this is how much power was. This is how much it is now. This is how much it's going to be in 25 years. Now, here's your chance to own it. You lock it in. It's less expensive, and you own it outright. Plus, you sell your extra power back to the energy company, get it at 1.9%. It's cheaper than inflation. So, do you want to go ahead and solar power your home? Okay, great. It's just an extra piece of paper at the mortgage signing that 90% of the people will sign.
Now, who finances that?
My partner, Goodleap, $7 billion a year company, largest solar financer in the industry.
And they take second position, obviously, to the first.
And the loan is not backed by the home.
It's not.
In a bankruptcy, it can go away. Yeah, it gets interesting. We do a soft credit pool before it's actually installed, and until it's installed, it's just a soft credit pool.
That's interesting.
Oh, it's beautiful, and it's $60,000,
And it works.
oh, it works. If it did not work, I wouldn't put it on my house.
Yeah. Okay.
So the bottom
Fair
line,
enough. Fair enough.
yeah. So I'll show you basically the math on it, but it's a whole different avenue, and this is why it works, because FPL, like let's just take this. You know this neighborhood, Babcock Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
You know Babcock
Very
Ranch,
familiar with
right?
it.
Well, they started this neighborhood in Florida, and I saw this big thing, like didn't lose power, solar powered neighborhood, Babcock Ranch. Well, Babcock Ranch sold everybody that they were going to have solar fields and that they were going to be able to create their own power and be off the grid and not have to. Well, FPL bought the grid. So, wow. Yeah, the developer, you or whoever it was,
Yeah.
had this sales pitch. Oh, wait a second. They offered us a lot more. Sorry, guys. We're going to change it up a little
Change
bit.
directions here.
You're still getting solar power. It's better for the world. That's why you moved here. You wanted it to be better for the world, right? No, they don't say going green because it's better for the world. They say going green because it's better for the pocketbook. And the FPL is the cheapest way to create power. Solar panel just can't store it. That's the problem. So basically, Babcock Ranch people are getting solar panels like crazy because they were sold on the value of solar and having a locked-in rate, but the rate's going up. And so that's why everyone should go. If FPL, the power company, is doing solar fields, solar panel on residential, and it makes sense for them to create power, and they're going to raise prices, why not have it make sense for you and have the same price and have it cheaper than their price because they know me and you, and we hook them up. And that's really what it's all about. So,
Solid points.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. Where can these guys find you at on social media? And how can they get in touch with you?
So I've got on my link tree, I've got the link for the event that I got coming up in February. And
Nice.
It's Michael J. Newell.
Nice. So just go find him on Instagram.
Yeah,
Michael
Instagram.
J. Newell. I follow him on my Instagram. You can find him. And you got what's the program, the platform?
It's Learn to Build.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Learn to build, baby.
Nice and
Here we
easy.
go. It's coming soon, baby. All right, guys. Hey, like and subscribe if you've joined this. This was an incredible episode. Lots of gold nuggets, real estate, building wealth. Look, man. Hey, appreciate having you.
I appreciate you letting me
man,
on.
It's been
Thank you.
badass. All right. See y'all next time. It's awesome, bro.
Yeah, that was good.